Please be seated. As the 17th Dean of the University of Colorado Law School, it is my very great pleasure to welcome you to the 128th Annual Commencement Ceremony celebrating the class of 2023. I extend a welcome to family, friends, staff, and faculty to this wonderful celebration of our graduating class. And I extend a special welcome to our keynote speaker, Attorney General Phil Weiser. I'd also like to recognize Judge Regina Rodriguez, a member of the Colorado Federal District Court Bench, as well as to Michael Kerrigan, Chair of the Colorado Law Alumni Board. I know that you all join me in feeling particular pride in these graduates who came to Colorado Law in the fall of 2020, in the midst of the COVID crisis. This was back when the disease was relatively little understood and when illness and death stalked us still. Along the journey, this class also experienced local and national disasters, and yet through it all, you persisted, class of 2023. You persisted and we persisted. You thrived. And you did so not only because of what you learned here, but because of the full life and experiences that you had before you got here. As I address you here today, I want to do what I often do on these occasions when it's apt to share my thoughts. I reach back to my childhood. Many of you have probably heard of the book, All I Really Need to Know, I Learned in Kindergarten. Well, that's a pretty exaggerated claim, especially in front of a very esteemed audience like this, and especially in front of all of these law graduates. And yet, I still have to say, I do think there are some foundational things that come to us very early in life. And so, I'll tell you a story about when I was in kindergarten. As some of you know, I am a native of Los Angeles. When I was a small child growing up there, we lived in the very heart of the city. In fact, they call it Mid-City, if you're familiar with that town. And if you're familiar with Los Angeles, you also know that much of it is built on suburban scale. That is to say, there are small houses and apartment buildings on long, winding blocks. And at the same time, the city is large and sprawling, and many neighborhoods are punctuated and framed by massive highway-like streets. This is what my childhood neighborhood was like. When it came time for me to go to kindergarten, my mother, who was a very young, divorced mother, who was worried about the fact that my new school, though it wasn't terribly far away, it was located across one of the busiest streets in Los Angeles, Olympic Boulevard, if you know that town, Mid-City. My mother worked 2 jobs in order to be able to afford our housing and to care for us. And that meant that she had no time to regularly escort me to and from school. Though we lived with my grandmother, who cared for us when my mother was at work, my grandmother had limited mobility, so she wasn't going to be able to transit me to school. So my mother put together what was for us, because we were decidedly working class people, she put together what was for us a lot of money, and she hired a private school bus service to take me that first semester. And I still have wonderful memories of learning all sorts of songs as we drove along, and it was wonderful. However, as we approached the end of the semester, my mother sat me down and she let me know that her money was running low and she was not going to be able to pay for the school bus for that second semester. In January, when the new semester started, I was going to have to walk to school. I wasn't daunted. I loved school, and I would have gotten there by any means necessary. Spaceship if I had to. I really loved going. So over that holiday break, my mother carefully taught me what she believed to be the safest route to school, and we practiced it over and over again when she got home from work every evening. We also engaged in a game that my mother called What If? The game, which I knew even then was not really a game, was meant to prepare me for possibilities, often bad, but sometimes good. So my favorite good what if was, what if I came into $1 million? And we would imagine what that was like. We'd even talk about how I'd keep it, what I'd do with it. And those of you who work closely with me know that I sometimes use that as an icebreaker with people, except I've changed it to $1 billion because 2023, it's got to be something really motivational. So the what if game that we played on the practice routes to school involved a key question: what would happen if I got lost? To answer it, my mother taught me my phone number, and she instructed me to knock on the nearest door, step back, away from the door, shout my middle name, because my mother said, never tell your first name to strangers. When they call me and I hear your middle name, I'll know it's you. So give your middle name, give your phone number, and whatever you do, don't go in the house. Stay on the porch. Ever. Never go in the house. Okay. Another what if that we asked ourselves was, what if somebody asked me to get in their car while I was walking? She said, don't do it. Instead, I should run away fast yelling, fire, fire. Which, understandably, my mother thought that if I just said help, help, people might ignore that. But many people care about a fire, either because it might hurt them. And that was kind of cynical for me as a 5-year-old, but whatever, I listened. Then there was another one. What if somebody told me to get in or they'd hurt me badly in a car? This time she said, still don't do it. Make them drag you in while yelling fire, fire, of course. Grimly, my mother told me that it was better to let them hurt you in public if they dared, because there's a better chance of getting help. And besides, she said, if a person would hurt a little child in public, what would they do to you in private? Now, at this point, I'm thinking, really, Ma? Really? This is hard talk. But my mother was not one to sugarcoat things. And even with the starkness of this kind of preparation, I was delighted at the prospect of being out on my own. And so finally, walking day came. That's what I had started calling it, walking day. Things went well the first week, and the second week as I made my journey to and from home, crossing this really busy street, and then trouble came the beginning of the third week. Although I was, as a general matter, confident, walking around on my own, there was one thing I feared greatly, and that was, fortunately not still the case, but it was dogs. I was terrified of dogs. If I even heard a rattle that sounded like a leash, I was just really terrified. So as I headed home one day, near the beginning of that third week, I encountered a large, snarling dog menacing from the middle of the sidewalk in the middle of the path that my mother taught me to take. I froze in fear. I did not know what to do. My mother had taken me through all sorts of scenarios and potential problems. We had not talked about dogs. So after standing in panic for what seemed like an eternity to my 5-year-old self, I calmed down enough to think. And in my mind's eye, I envisioned the street where I lived, the duplex apartment that we lived in on the top floor of a building on a hill. And I, in my mind, looked to the right, and I saw the path my mother had taught me to take. In imagining my home, I also looked to the left, and I thought, wait, that's a parallel path. It occurred to me that if I went left, and I went left again, and I went downhill, and I went left again, I should end up where I was. I was so relieved. I backed away from the dog, followed this path I had just imagined, much, much happier, another route to my home, and I took it, and I hurried away, and following this alternate path, I got up to the other side of my block, the one that my mother didn't teach me, and I saw my mother had just arrived from work. It was late because I had been standing a long time trying to figure this out, and she was wringing her hands and worrying, where was I, looking in the direction she thought I should be coming from. And when I got to her and I told her what happened, she looked at me with a mixture of anger and admiration, and she said, "It didn't occur to me to teach you another way home, but I see you figured it out for yourself." Now, I tell you this story because as you go forth as graduates, some of you will take the path that you designed for yourselves after careful planning, and by that route, you will get to the place where you want to be. And to those of you for whom this is true, I wish you Godspeed. However, there will be some of you, indeed many of you, who start on a path that seems promising only to find that a barrier appears in the way. If you encounter such an obstacle, don't be afraid to pause and reflect and recall the things you already knew, just didn't realize it, and then act. I also tell you this story to remind you of a few other things. Sometimes you end up walking when you started out riding the bus along your personal and professional journey. Sometimes you have to get where you're going alone, and you need to prepare the what ifs in those cases. And sometimes you will have no what if preparation for a situation because you cannot envision everything that you will encounter. At those times, you'll have to trust that your persistence and your ingenuity and a lifetime of learning will get you around the scary dog that might be blocking your path. This law school education is not a starting point. It is your most recent achievement that bridges knowledge that you already have with what will be a lifetime of learning that comes after this. And so, congratulations, graduates. I wish you good walking from here. And so I want to then pause and just give you another hand before I start. And now I want to share with you our land acknowledgement. As we gather, we honor and acknowledge that the University of Colorado Law School is on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute peoples. Further, we acknowledge the 48 contemporary tribal nations historically tied to the lands that comprise what is now Colorado. In doing so, we celebrate the diversity among us and among First People. It is now my pleasure to introduce Doug Goodfeather, Hunkpapa Lakota from the Standing Rock Lakota, Dakota and Nakota Nation of South and North Dakota. Please stand for his song.
Chonte washte iwa chuzapi. We are kawashte milo. I greet all of you with a good heart. My name is Doug Goodfeather. To come and honor all of you, your accomplishments. These accomplishments were once dreams that turned to goals, and now that I realized. Every one of us that is standing here is indigenous to this earth. So that means we all have responsibility to her for our children and their children. And she has laws that we live by. And these laws are love, compassion, fortitude, perseverance, courage, generosity, sympathy, empathy. And these laws we follow, and it dictates our life. So when we do good, good comes back to us. So continue to do good, because these laws are also going to dictate your life. To do good, you have a big responsibility for the people. So always remember that. Learn how to understand humbleness so you can see the people and see their hearts. So I honor you with this song, and congratulations today to all of you and to all the mothers and grandmothers. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. Thank you. For my mother, I wouldn't be here. So I say thank you to her.
Thank you, Doug Goodfeather, for that beautiful song. I'd now like to introduce Professor Violeta Chapin, clinical professor of law and co-director of our clinical programs, who will now offer welcome remarks in Spanish.
Bienvenidos a todos. Mi nombre es Violeta Chapin. Soy una profesora de leyes aquí en la Universidad de Colorado y todos estamos muy felices y muy orgullosos que nuestros estudiantes se están graduando hoy. Nosotros sabemos que todos los graduados aquí han tenido éxito en su vida con la ayuda, el apoyo y el amor que sus familias y amigos les han dado. Mil gracias a todas las mamás, los papás, los abuelos, los hermanos, las hermanas los primos, los vecinos, todos aquí que han caminado juntos con nuestros estudiantes en este viaje. Tienen el mundo frente a ellos y hoy lo vamos a celebrar. Gracias y otra vez, bienvenidos.
Thank you, Professor Chapin. I'd like to introduce Professor Blake Reed, who will present the Honorary Order of the Coif to Judge Regina Rodriguez.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be with you all to celebrate the accomplishments of our graduates. Law school is a rigorous intellectual endeavor, and we could not be prouder of every member of the class of 2023 who's persevered in overcoming the many challenges they faced over the past 3 years to be here today. This ceremony is but a modest recognition of their high level of dedication, resilience, and achievement, and of the support they've received from their family and friends. Our graduates have all distinguished themselves in numerous ways that we take pride in celebrating today. And it's my privilege to recognize our graduates who have excelled academically. The survival of the rule of law rests on the development of legal thought and argument through intellectually honest exploration of doctrine and respectful, reasoned debate. The graduates we appoint to the Order of the Coif have demonstrated not only a high level of academic excellence, but a commitment to practicing law with integrity and rigor. Under the Order's constitution, only the top 10% of the graduating class of each law school is eligible for membership. Because grades are not yet finalized, final membership will be announced at a later date. However, the top 15% of graduates at the end of the fall semester are recognized in the program as candidates for membership in the Order. Please join me in congratulating them. Furthermore, it is our tradition at graduation to confer honorary membership in the Order to a member of the Colorado law community who has practiced with excellence and distinction. This year, we're pleased to honor Judge Regina M. Rodriguez. Judge Rodriguez is the newest member of the Colorado Federal District Court bench, appointed by President Biden and confirmed by the US Senate in 2021. Judge Rodriguez is a 1988 graduate of Colorado law and has had an illustrious career here as a trial attorney for over 30 years before joining the bench. She began her practice in a boutique litigation firm, then spent the 8 years at the US Attorney's Office in the Civil Division, where she ultimately became the first Latina and first Asian chief of the division. In 2002, she left the US Attorney's Office for private practice, where she spent 19 years as a partner in several national law firms. For a lifetime of professional accomplishments, service, and contributions to the legal profession and community, I'm pleased to confer honorary membership in the Order of the Coif to Judge Rodriguez.
Thank you so much, Professor Reed. Thank you to Dean Ennis, the faculty, and to the CU Law family. I am deeply, deeply honored by this recognition and inclusion in this very special event here today. It's been made all the more special by the struggles that I know each of you have endured over the last several years, far and above what we would consider a normal law school curriculum. Congratulations to the Order of the Coif honorees. This is truly an accomplishment worthy of special recognition. I know how hard you worked for this achievement. I only wish that I had attained it 35 years ago when I graduated, but better late than never. Let this be an example for all of you. There's always hope. Absolutely. Now, let me also just really congratulate all of the graduates here tonight, or today, I guess it's still afternoon. I wish you could see what I see from up here. And what it is the promise of our future. You all are our next leaders. You all are our next deans, attorney generals, faculty members, judges, and whatever else it is that you choose to be. On this Mother's Day Eve, I want to also acknowledge especially our mothers who have brought us to this place. And I thank my mother, who would never have imagined that her daughter would one day be standing on this stage as a federal judge and as a member of the Order of the Coif. This is an exciting and wondrous moment. And I want you to consider that even if you have a carefully planned route for your career, you likely have no idea how it's really going to turn out. I got the spark of a dream while I was an intern in my second year of law school at the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was one of those people who came to law school, and to say I didn't have a clue is an understatement. My father was a football coach, my mother was a teacher, but they had big dreams and so did I. So somehow I found my way to an internship at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I accompanied some of the lawyers to court one day. And of course, I couldn't go up and sit in front of the bench, but I sat in the back of the room, and I will never forget that moment. I was mesmerized. When that gavel banged, the federal judge walked in the room, we all rose, sat down, and I watched the administration of justice happening before my eyes. I was smitten, and I have never forgotten that moment. Now, of course, I wanted to be a federal judge in that moment, but that was an impossible dream. There were no federal judges that looked like me, certainly not in this court. There's only a handful of federal judges in the country, a few hundred, and it's a long and arduous process. So I put that dream to the side, and I knew that what I wanted to do was be a servant in the administration of justice and to be a trial lawyer. And over the next 30-some years, that's exactly what I got to do. And if you ask me to describe my career, I will tell you, it was a long and windy road filled with bumps and joys. And at the end of the day, somehow, I made it, and I became a federal judge. So here's what I wish for you all. Today, as you embark on this next phase, I wish you a wonderfully long, windy road and success on whatever path your dreams may take you. Congratulations, and I look forward to seeing you in my courtroom.
Thank you, Judge Rodriguez, for those inspiring words. Now we will hear from our class officers. First, we will hear from Class President Alexander Clark for his reflections. He will be followed by Class Treasurer Ashlyn Dutam to share the student awards, then Class Secretary Tanner Boyzik for the faculty and staff awards. And finally, we'll hear from Class Vice President Stuart Ramsey to introduce the keynote speaker, Attorney General Phil Weiser.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished faculty, proud parents, friends, family members, and most importantly, my fellow graduates, welcome. My name is Alex Clark, and I am the 3L class president, an equally anxious, excited, and very proud member of this incredible graduating class. For all the friends and family out there, you're probably wondering what we did the past 3 years in law school, and what we learned. To be honest, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But jokes aside, having the opportunity to address all of you on this momentous occasion is nothing short of an incredible honor. Without a doubt, today is a day of celebration, but it's also a day of gratitude. This is likely the first and probably the last time that we will all be in the same place at the same time. So, with the time that I have, I'd like to take a moment to look back, reflect on the long and sometimes arduous journey that brought us here. The people in this auditorium are special. These people, whether it's the fellow graduates or all the friends and family here, allowed us to be here and allowed us to succeed. Let's thank the incredible community that has sustained us through our journey, from the devoted faculty, our dedicated staff, our supportive friends, and most importantly, our loving families. Without you, we simply would not have been here. Now, as we reflect on our journey, let's not forget what marked the beginning of our law school experience. Our class lived through the height of the pandemic, learned how to live through it, and then learned how to live in what is now the new normal. Our first year of law school was in many ways an experience of a shared screen, virtual hand raises, and everyone saying, "Oh, you're muted." We began our legal education on Zoom, but we ended here today in person. But in these crazy 3 years, we made friendships that survived the trials of too much stress, far, far too much reading, and yes, even some imaginary height representations. One of my fellow students and my roommate, Noah Levin, during our 1L year, we were all on Zoom, and Noah pretty easily convinced everyone in our class that I was actually 5'4". Didn't think of it much at the time, and then we got to school 2 year, everyone's like, "Oh, you're not 5'4". I'm like, "Nope, I am not." So it was a brilliant prank, and it worked astoundingly well. And so in the spirit of that jest, I would like to take a moment to wish Noah a happy birthday. So if you see Noah today, tell him happy birthday. The class of 2023 is unique. It's a class of some of the sharpest budding legal minds across the country. It's a class of students who have achieved absolutely amazing things in their time here. We've had students that have argued cases in front of the Federal 10th Circuit of Appeals, people who have traveled across the country to compete with other law schools and won, from going to Utah, New York, New Orleans, DC, even overseas to do these competitions. It's a class with moot court and mock trial champions and students who've been published in legal journals. It's a class with limitless potential that has already achieved so much thus far. These experiences and these stories that we've shared are what make us more than just a graduating class. It makes us a community that has seen us and seen each other at our best and at our worst. A community that has grown together, learned together, and persevered together. And so as we venture forth into the world, let's remember this. Our time at Colorado Law has equipped us not only with a world-class legal education, but with friends and relationships that will last a lifetime. As we close this chapter of our lives, let's carry forward the spirit of community, resilience, and kindness that we have cultivated here. Let's use our education and our experiences, our shared memories, to shape a world that is fair, more compassionate, and more just. Thank you, Colorado Law, for giving us a home. Thank you for giving us a community. And thank you for giving us the tools to make a difference. As you graduate today, remember, we're not only lawyers, we are law buffs. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2023. Now it is my honor to introduce the treasurer for the class of 2023, Ashlyn Dewthorne. Give it up for Ashlyn.
Thank you, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone. It's been a pleasure to be the treasurer for our class for the past 2 years, and it's an absolute privilege for me to get to announce one of this year's student awards. Many of my classmates were awarded this year, and I wish I could go over them all, but I only have a minute, so I'm just highlighting one today. That award is the David M. Sutcliffe Student Bar Association Distinguished Service Award. This award was established to recognize a student who made outstanding contributions to the law community, and it is my pleasure to share that it is awarded to my classmate, Essence Duckin. Among other things, Essence served as president of the Student Bar Association and as a leader of the Black Law Students Association and the Council for Racial Justice and Equity. Essence also helped organize and host the Corey Wise Innocence Project, which is an event that brings pride to all of us at CU. I even remember Essence organizing Zoom calls for students to meet each other during the summer of 2020 while we were all at home quarantining and anxious to see how we would get to know each other in the daunting year to come. Essence's contributions to our class were appreciated by all of us, and they're the reason that she was chosen for this student-nominated award that recognizes what she did for our community. So please join me again in congratulating and thanking Essence for all of her hard work and contributions for our class. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Essence. And with that, I would now like to introduce the class of 2023 Secretary, Tanner Boyzik.
Hello, friends. Before coming to law school, you often hear horror stories about the professors. It's countless tales of the nightmarish Socratic method and cold call meltdowns until you find yourself in Civ Pro on your first day, and you got that one scene from the paper chase on replay in your brain, zero understanding of legalese, praying you don't get called, sitting there wondering, what in the heck did I just read? Was that English? Who wrote this? And then your heart drops in your chest when you realize that your textbook was written by who else but the person teaching the class. Shout out to Professor Mueller, if you're here. On a serious note, I haven't had one professor here at CU who treats us students as anything less than respected colleagues. They all have shown a desire to invest in our success while treating us with compassion and understanding. So as voted on by the student body, please join me in applauding this year's Excellence in Teaching Award winner, Professor Frederick Bloom, as well as the winner of the Outstanding New Faculty Award, Professor Amanda Parsons. Woo! I also want to take a moment to say how grateful I am for my peers in the class of 23. From supporting one another through Zoom U, to bar reviews at the Dark Horse, to tailgates and ski trips, y'all have made these 3 years an incredibly special season of my life, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Now, please welcome my good friend and our class vice president, Stuart Raymond Ramsey.
Good afternoon, fellow graduates, faculty members, and honored guests. My name is Stuart Ramsey, and it has been an honor and a privilege to spend the past year serving as the Vice President of the class of 2023. Today, I have one final privilege, and that is introducing this year's keynote speaker, Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser. Attorney General Weiser is no stranger to Colorado law, having served both as a professor and dean of the law school in the past. In addition to his time here, he has clerked for 2 Supreme Court justices and served as a Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Justice Department's Antitrust Division. While here, he founded the Silicon Flatiron Center for Law, Technology, and Entrepreneurship as well, which is a leading institution for exploring the intersection of law and technology. Throughout his legal career, he has championed causes including consumer protection, environmental protection, and immigrant rights, as he has strived to use the law as a force for good and to make a positive impact on the world. So without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce Colorado Attorney General Bill Weiser.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you all. It is such an honor to be with you today. To the class of 2023, welcome to a great community of Colorado Law alums. Serving as a lawyer is a noble calling, and you all have this opportunity and an obligation to make a positive impact on our world, as you will be charged with a seer's charge. For all of those supporting the graduates here today, it's important to honor you, whether you're just a baby or whether you are a grandparent. This is not easy, and everyone here has been with you along the journey. Thank you, Dean Innes, for inviting me to join the special group. I want to talk about 3 lessons that very much echo what Dean Innes and Judge Rodriguez said. Giving yourself permission to try out a new path, whether or not you're successful, to view your life as a series of experiments, and to embrace the power of mentors. Several years ago, when I was on this stage as Dean of the law school, I had the We've all been there. I had the privilege of honoring Ron Sandgren, who, like Judge Rodriguez, was awarded the Honorary Order of the Coif. And when I introduced him, I said that Ron had the experience of founding a law firm and then losing 90% of its business and having to pivot and go from representing insurance companies to representing plaintiffs. I meant this as a tribute to his resilience, but he took it as a slight. And he got up here, and all he heard was that his law firm had failed. And in his mind, his law firm had not failed because he'd never skipped payroll. Hello there to you too. And he proceeded to challenge the premise of my introduction in a way that everyone here noticed. And people years later said, "Oh, Ron, you're the guy who contradicted the dean when you got the Order of the Coif award." Well, it turns out Ron's pivoting made all the difference because he got to represent people, not companies, and he got enormous satisfaction. And he was very successful and could retire at a young age. This remains my most fond graduation memory. And it is because it touches on something that I think is of enduring importance. How do you think about what it means to try something, often because of necessity, as Dean Innes said, and learn from it? And that F word, the failure or fail, is hard. And a lot of us are taught to fear it. Now, I have had a slightly different experience. You might think of this as a blessing or a curse, but in my first semester in college, the courses were pass-fail. So I took a slightly harder course thinking, what's the worst that can happen? Exactly. I will never forget opening up my report card. Back then, you had to open them up, and seeing that I indeed failed calculus. That first semester, I also ran for student council, one of 9 people to run for 7 spots, but alas was not elected, coming 9 out of 9. In that second semester, I ran again for student council and was successful, and I took calculus a second time. Now, as a lawyer, I've had some similar experiences working on legal writing, including as a law clerk or as an associate, and being told that my work was plainly unacceptable. That's not easy to hear. But let me tell you, I deeply believe that feedback is a gift. And when someone is kind enough to tell you why something falls short, listen hard and view it as an opportunity to learn. A few weeks ago, Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo rejected the premise that the Bucks season could be viewed as a failure. Now, they were the #1 seed, expected to win it all, and they lost in the first round to a team that got in through the play-in. But he said, is every season Michael Jordan didn't win a championship a failure for Michael Jordan? And that sparked a series of conversations, including for those of us who are fans of Inside the NBA, including Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson, all asking, what does it mean to fail? It's worth noting that Shaq took the line that if you have a goal and you don't achieve it, that means you failed. But Charles and Kenny used a different frame, making clear that Giannis' season was not a failure. Just because his outcome wasn't a championship, he still has the opportunity to learn. And as long as you're learning, you're not a failure. It's worth reflecting on this very idea and how all of us can give ourselves permission to try new things and learn. And not to be ashamed when we try something new and it doesn't work out the way we'd hoped for. I've got a second suggestion that actually also was raised in this wise Inside the NBA conversation. It's don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't view yourself as only a success if X happens. Instead, think about your life maybe like a portfolio. You've got a few different things you're trying. Some of them may work better than others. That way, you give yourself more grace to try more different things and see where it takes you. If you have enough alternative experiments in mind, enough plans A through Z, if you will, something will work out for you and you'll learn from what doesn't. In my experience, joining this law faculty was an experiment. When I took the job, I only interviewed at Colorado Law School. I had no idea whether being a law faculty member would be fulfilling for me, because my commitment in terms of serving the public is one that I didn't know if it would work as a law professor. But I said to myself, and maybe a few close friends, I'm going to view this as an experiment that I'll do for 2.5 years, and I'll see what happens. Can I engage in a larger community? Can I make an impact? And can I be intellectually fulfilled by this work? And however many years later, the answer remains yes. Indeed, even deciding to run for Attorney General was an experiment. Can I do this in a way that will be true to myself and a learning journey? And the answer remains yes. A final suggestion for all of you as you embark on your journeys. Embrace the power of mentors. I am so fortunate also from that first semester in college when I met Professor Richard Rubin, who has been a lifelong mentor. As I found my path of becoming a doctor shattered by my poor grades in pre-med courses, I had to find a new path. I had to pivot. And Richard, who was a professor of political science, nurtured my passions for public service and public policy. And as I made every important decision in my life, including the one whether to join this faculty, Richard was there. And he believed that this experiment would be successful, and he was right. And now that I've got the chance to serve as a mentor, I can tell you that it's true that I have learned from my teachers. I've learned from my colleagues. But most of all, I've learned from students and mentors. I know that every faculty member on this stage feels that way about all of you. If you can continue to be an engaged mentor, you're giving us an opportunity. And the mentors you have want to support you, because that's how we roll here in Colorado. We support one another. All of you have a promising path ahead. And as we've all noted, it's going to be a winding road. And one of the obligations as a lawyer that you have is to serve and to think about our society. And there's a frame of reference I often have, which you don't have the obligation to heal our world by yourself, but none of you, particularly with this law degree, are free to desist from doing your part. This is not an easy time for our society. The rule of law and our institutions are facing challenges like never before. I believe that as you all do the work ahead of you, and you do it authentically and with a concern for others, you will help repair our world. Congratulations to the class of 2023. I wish you the very best of luck on this next chapter.
Thank you, Attorney General Weiser, for your powerful remarks. Now, members of the class of 2023 will have the conferring of a degree for which you have worked so hard and the presentation of diplomas. To symbolize the conferral of the Juris Doctorate degree, each member of the class will be hooded. The hood with its purple velvet represents the study of law, and the gold and silver colors represent the University of Colorado Boulder. Professors Frederick Bloom, Benjamin Levin, Helen Norton, and Scott Skinner Thompson were selected by this year's class to do the hooding of our JD graduates. The conferral of our Latin Legum Magister degree will be conferred by the placing of a hood on each graduate by Professor Todd Stafford and Director J.J. Ilsing. To symbolize the conferral of our Master of Studies of Law, a hood will be placed on each graduate by Professors Amy Bauer and Melanie Kay. Assistant Dean of Students Emily Horowitz will read the names of each graduate, and Registrar Shannon Foley will assist me in presenting the diplomas.
Thank you, Dean Innes. We will start the hooding of our class officers and banner bearers, then LLM graduates, then JD graduates, followed by MSL graduates. Please come forward row by row and hand me your name card. Once the person in front of you is hooded, please walk to the center of the stage to be hooded and continue walking to be congratulated by Dean Innes and to receive your symbolic diploma. Alexander Dean Clark. Ashlyn Laurel Duthorn. Tanner Michael Boysick. Stuart Raymond Ramsey. Alexis Courtney Clark. Connor Kalista Carolina Willitson. Ananya. Sepite Akbarian. Alexis Christina Devet. Risa Dorsamal. Viviani Casolari. Bashi Roy Kara. Erica Lisbeth Leon. Carol Tendai Makako. Andrew Hunter Teagarden. Cameron James Abati. Tyler Stewart Alberts. Larissa Joanne Aliri. Sydney Nicole Anderson. Brendan Barbara. Ariel Valentina Barbieri Agib. Mariah Vargas. Austin James Baxter. Mary Elizabeth Beasley. Jackson Robert Beck. Cameron Shane Benavides. Jacob Peter Burney. Hallie Mast Bodemer. Rex Bogey. Mary Eloise Bond. Benjamin James Bonner. Kate A. Bosch. Emmanuel Brandino. Nathan Thomas Cash. William Anthony Castelli. Juliana Maria Cave Pasquale. Grant Jacob Chayette. Louisa Elizabeth Sellers Clark. Wilson Collins. Jamie D. Cook. Kalina Claire Cook. Bobby Catherine Cooney. Marta Cuneo. Maddie Curry. Ryder Arthur Daly. Megan Lee Decker. Catherine K. DeRose. Allison Kayla Dudley. I know you. Essence Epiphany Duncan. Larkin Dykstra. Sam Bradley Edgerton. Danielle Christina Edwards. Jacob Daniel Eisenberg. Jessica Elise Eller. John Ellis. Madison Malloy Engel. Madison Taylor Etherington. McLean Marisol Eubank. Marina Christine Ramirez Fleming. April Fortner. James Gallagher. Liam Andrew Garcia. Bailey Cassidy Geisen. Kristen Haley Glesney. Orion Thomas Glower. Mark Conway Goldberg. Anna Grace Goldman. Veronica Mercedes Gonzalez. Zachary David Greco. Miguel Angel Gutierrez Rodarte. Bennett McEnnis Harrell. Kenneth Austin Hartley. John Tyler Hatch. Jacob Dean Hedgepeth. Jill Cosette Himmelho. Brian Joseph Hinden. Alexandra Juliette Holbus. Hanson Haas. Logan Hibble. Hope Alexandra Hyde. Garrett Thomas Janey. Grace Nicole Jimenez. Rebecca Christine Johnson. Alika Leanne Johnston. Alan Roy Jones III. Jake Jose. Danielle Marie Collar. Sienna Noel Kalina. Feroz Khalidi. Richard Oren Koch. Jonathan Alexander Kopkin. Magnolia Landman. Zachary Emmanuel Levi. Happy birthday, Abraham Noah Levin. Francesca Louise Lipinski DeGette. Matthew Newell Long. Janae Grace Mann. Bryce Martinez. Rachel Olivia Martinez. Nicholas John Matera. Jackson Maynard. Sam William McCarthy. Emily Claire McClary. Logan Elizabeth McGill. James Patrick McLinn. Kayla Marie Mendez. Eli Edward Robert Metz. Riley E. Meyer. Daniel Lloyd Miller. Ellen Madrisa Miller. Seth Douglas Miller. Theodore Francis Moats. Morgan Brenna Murphy. Jonathan David Murray. Kylie Liz New. Braden Joseph O'Brien. Alyssa Michelle Ortiz. Curtis Ott. Cassandra Allegra Pankey. Morgan E. Parsons. Jana Von Patel. Cameron Drew Peterson. Shelby Elizabeth Picard Dennis. Sean Plord. Daniel Joseph Pomerantz. Ridge Robert Rath. Samuel Redder. Josephine Marissa Ryder. Rick Rivera. Michael David Roberts. Paige Dior Robinson. Melissa Lynn Roeder. Trevor Rogan. Grace Rosado. Lauren Olivia Rosenthal. Gabriel Jacob Rudin. Emiliano Q. Salazar. Emma Stavig Sargent. Phoebe Catherine Schneider. McNair Hiri Shaw. Lindsay Sloan. Robin Lee Smith. Lauren Nicole Sonic. Naomi Chandler Spoon. Chris Spoto. Andrew Stirrup. Graham Matthew Stevenson. Liliane Visciano Stoll. Tyler Strobel. Kelsey Kimberly Suarez. Lauren Adriana Tarver. Gabrielle Marie Tharp. Grace Louise Thomas. Nell Tooley. Peter Callison Troop. Tess Udall. Scott Van Zant. Melpomene Vasilou. Joe Varan. Jordan Vinovich. Jack Vissing. Matthew Von Warder. Sean Wagner McOff. Lily Faye Wasser. James Cole Weber. Elena Weicker. Kelby Gail Welsh. Jacob Paul Williams. Anthony D. Wojciechowski. Jack Alexander Wold McGimsey. Danielle Michaela Wu. Fernando Yuste Herrera. Jessica Lee Samba. Alyssa Jaylin Blomberg. Alicia Bostrak. Carolyn Jean Davis. Jessica Lopez Gaiveca. Olivia Ann McCracken. Andrew Bush Olheis. Hope Suzanne Oldheis. Sumuk Tulgakar. Ryan Tyler Trembath. Ellen Deary Yan.
You are now alumni of the University of Colorado Law School. Congratulations! Fittingly, I'd like to invite Law Alumni Board Chairperson Michael Kerrigan to make welcome remarks into the Colorado Law alumni community.
Thank you, Dean Ennis, and good afternoon, fellow CU Law graduates. My name is Michael Kerrigan, and I stand before you with many proud ties to CU Law. I am the son of a former CU Law professor, Jim Kerrigan. He was also a CU regent and a proud supporter of this law school, which was often called his seventh child. I too am a graduate, 1994, former SBA president, and 12 years on the CU Board of Regents, which got me this fancy gown. And I joined you today in the capacity as chair of the CU Law Alumni Board to welcome you to our ranks. CU Law has over 8,300 graduates who hold positions of leadership and service all over our country. We are judges on the federal district court to the county court. We are prosecutors, public defenders. We are public and private lawyers with big firms and small. We are teachers, entrepreneurs, general counsels, and trusted advisors. But most of all, we are an alumni network that is invested in your success and rich in tradition. And one of those traditions is making sure that your bar passage rate is higher than that other law school down southeast. So let's continue that tradition, because we all know that when the class of 2023 succeeds, we all succeed. Welcome to the CU Law family.
Thank you, Michael Kerrigan. It is customary to end the law school's commencement recalling the words of our Dean Emeritus, Don Sears. So I will leave you, graduates, friends, and family, with Dean Sears' charge. You have now received the Juris Doctor degree and other degrees. Please do not take undue pride in this title. For the final analysis, the test of your professional fitness will lie not in your title, but rather in your service to society and in the extent to which you combine professional skills with humane concern, legal learning, and with intense integrity, great energy, with high ideals. What kind of lawyer you will be depends in large part on the kind of person you are. I hope you may continue to grow, and that in the years to come, you will live the most challenging life of all, the life of the mind, the life of service. To you all, we wish great success in your chosen profession. I pause for a moment to remember Dean Sears and to give one more round of applause for our graduates. Thank you all for attending the University of Colorado Law School's commencement ceremony celebrating the class of 2023. Guests, please remain seated for faculty and graduate recessional. And once the graduates have left the auditorium, please exit the building. There will be buses waiting. And graduates, please return to Wolf Law to receive an alumni gift and to return your regalia to the admissions office. Don't forget that part. And everyone is welcome to join us at a reception at Wolf Law Building that will go until 4 p.m. Once again, congratulations, congratulations to the class of 2023. We stand adjourned.